ropes it off. A flying tackle by and a drop kick.
Gotta hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
Gotta be the best of me. It's more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold. The championship has existed in its current proper form since 19...
That was pretty hard, and look at what he's gonna work now. Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Billy Corgan's NWA. It's been a week. I didn't have an episode out last week, and I've been sick. Probably could still hear it in my voice. You might hear me cough a few times. Basically lost my voice for like 3-4 days. So yeah, I could not record. We're going to try to make it up, but obviously that threw a whole wrench in the works in all our plans, but that's fine. We're here now. Let's get on with it. So we have Power in 6 days, and we have our next pay-per-view, Spring Stampede, in 7. So we have some story beats to kind of fill out in our go-home show, but we kind of know where we're going for most of them. One of the issues that we were kind of talking about was a lack of faces in the company, which we definitely have a disposition issue. Now, in terms of like wrestling booker theory, you really don't need a lot of faces. In fact, you probably need more heels than anything else. The faces are only good for the chase. So what you want is you want one person in each division for sure that sort of is the guys that you care about, that you're interested in, that are driving the story. Now, and then everybody else reacts to them, right? Everyone else is an obstacle to them. You need a few Gokus, right? But you could have a ton of Vegetas and everything else. Now, we are loosely enforced, which means we're not going to get a penalty if we have a person that's a heel facing another heel or something like that. If we were running an older style company, even though we are like a modern throwback, we could run into issues there. But you know, with like somebody like Eddie Kingston, who we're currently, who's spent 1 year in NWA, look at that, who works heel, we're preparing a turn. I kind of consider him a tweener. He's definitely, in disposition-wise, more of a face to me. Kind of wish there was a third option in these situations. I could keep him as a heel. We are going to turn him, and that might impact a little bit of a negativity there, but that's fine. So that's one person on the upper card that we have. We have Chris Hero coming in. He also can play both. I think he works better as a heel. He's amazing at being a heel. So I would probably rather play to the strengths of that and have him come in kind of as a maybe like a bitter veteran or something like that. But I'm not opposed to hearing other ideas for him. We have like Levi Cooper, who's a babyface. You know, Laredo Kid and Kalisto are babyfaces, but are in our our tag team division. So Nick Aldis is a heel, but honestly could play face, but he's better as a heel, even though right now I haven't really been booking him that way. I've been booking him kind of weird. But the whole cult story, not a cult, storyline's been a little odd in terms of how the dynamic plays through. So, you know, there's sort of that. We also have Eli Drake, who's currently away, who is a babyface, can play both, but we've been kind of running him as babyface, though I don't really see doing a major push with him anytime soon. Pillman's obviously very much a heel at this point. Brian Cage was set for face, and I want him to work a heel. I've seen him as a face, but I just don't think it's that interesting. Ace Austin definitely is sort of a tweener, but definitely works better as a heel character. So we definitely have a bit of a gap here. Samoa Joe, we could argue, is running like a tweener, like a Stone Cold story right now. It could definitely be a face, but I feel like he'll turn heel very quickly once, you know, if he accomplishes his goal and takes the belt he is going to definitely become a heel champion. That's just sort of how he's going to be. But right now, there's sort of this anti-authority slant thing going on that's kind of interesting about it. So we definitely have a gap there. We don't need a lot, but we need to start thinking about who we can push to be faces. Ricky Starks obviously is going to be a heel. And I don't see a lot of people that we currently have that are faces. Eddie, Eli, Levi. That's about it. And so we're definitely running into a situation where we're a league of heels, and we need to find a few more faces that would be interesting. So we're going to be scouting at some point, probably after the pay-per-view, and keeping an eye out on people. If you guys got ideas, let me know. Someone was mentioning Ron Killings could play as a face coming in. Certainly could start as a face. We'll start him as a face. I kind of envisioned him more as coming in as sort of like this guy with a vengeance. He was an NWA champion at some point. There it is. World Tag Team Champion, World Heavyweight Champion. So there you go. There. Kind of when he shows back up, that's definitely going to be sort of this element here. He's currently at a split personality gimmick, which maybe we'll play into and use that. But yeah, that's sort of my mind frame right now, is that we definitely need to find one or two faces that either are upper mid-carder or main eventers, and that work really well for that. Taking a cursory glance right now, someone did mention that you can choose to just can work anywhere, and then we could always talk to them. Right now, I kind of rather find somebody that's already established within this system, sort of. I don't think we can look based on disposition of like people that are really good at that disposition. But I would want somebody that has a very strong face. Look at Zack Ryder. Definitely could probably work there in that situation. I'm not super thrilled with it. Like a Moxley's more of a tweener, but we could use him if we ever had the ability to get him. There's not a lot that we could pull that would be strong, a strong face that would make sense story-wise, that would be interesting. Just going down a little bit, David Starr was going to be one of our faces for a while. He got Heath Slater, but I'm trying to take it seriously here. It's really tough. There's just not a lot of people that I'm just like that are popping out that are like, yeah, absolutely, let's bring him in. Let's make him an integral part of the product. Mike Verna, I think, plays almost exclusively heel. Peter Avalon is not written in AEW, which is interesting, but also, again, mostly a heel. Rich Swann has a strong face attribute that could work really well. I'm going to throw him on the short list here. This is not a backstage episode, so we're not going to be going through everybody. Like a TJP potentially also, but yeah. So that's definitely an area that we're struggling here. So I'd like to hear your ideas, and we're really looking for that next push after Spring Stampede, maybe bring in another face or two to round out the roster and have some people that are just pure baby faces instead of tweeners that we can kind of transition into good underdog stories or good heartwarming stories with. Now, before we get on with the show, one thing we do need to do, we had mentioned how how we needed to do it last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. We definitely need to modify this show. It needs to be a 2-hour power. It's coming back, baby. 2-hour power on Fridays. Boom, there you go. Get the commercials ready. Let's swing that into gear. Everyone's going to be talking about new 2-hour power hour. 2-hour power hour. That's a tongue twister. So that's mostly, it's not going to affect us that much. We lowered it a little bit to save money originally, because it actually was really easy to book it. Though we did need a larger roster originally to book that. We don't anymore, because really we need to book longer matches, which is great. That's easy to do. It's not going to affect our booking that much. And in fact, there's a bunch of other bonuses for us for doing so. Because, you know, if you look at this here, matches less than 20 minutes are not going to be able to achieve world-class scores. Unfortunately, dangerous, controversial, bloody match types are not going to go over well with our new style of the modern throwback. They expect important matches to be quite lengthy, which usually means 15 minutes or more. Bunch of other match types will be penalized. Only basic match setups, like cages, are acceptable. So they don't like TLC ladder matches, stuff like that. Hardcore skill will not be used in regular match calculations. That's fine. And we're strongly affected by swings, which is fine as well. But really, the important thing to look at here is that 20 minutes, world-class scores, we're going to be capped at basically a certain skill level. We don't have to worry about that right now because we're not going to achieve world-class scores. But the fans expect lengthy matches if they are considered important, and most of our matches, basically involving storylines, are considered important. We can't do squash matches, so that becomes a problem with how we were booking, because we kind of put short matches together, and we can't do that anymore. So the 2-hour should help us out with that, and shouldn't be a problem. We'll see if we need an influx of new roster members to soak up that time. I don't think we do, but that's an easy problem to solve if that's the case, especially because financially we're looking pretty good. All right, let's get on with the show. All right, we got some mail. Oh boy, that's a bunch of news here. Some one-night deals for our Alliance champions, not a big deal. And then we got some expiring deals for some of our other broadcasters. We'll deal with that after our pay-per-view. Not a big deal here at all. All right, and it does look like there's a product warning now that AEW moved up their product style for broadcasting. Oop, no, that's the wrong one. No, so we're still fine. We're still getting that penalty from the music. $2,500 a month. I don't know if it's worth $15,000 extra a month still. I'd rather see how we're doing financially. It's more stable. I don't want to eat up 50% of our profits, more than 50% of our profits, over a minor penalty. Got a pay raise request from Homicide. I'm going to go ahead and give him a 75% increase. We kind of lowballed him. He's probably not going to be around for much longer anyways on our show. I would imagine he's probably close to getting cut at some point after the cult kind of dissolves. I don't think we really need him anymore. All right, let's continue and get to Power. We should have a quick skip and throw over here. There we go. We got a backstage incident. Something involving R-Truth here. He brought pizza for everybody in the locker room and made everybody happy. That's very nice of him. He's one of those guys that probably has a really good personality. He's a people person. So I'm going to try to find anybody that has a high chance of any type of positive relationship. Because what we would love is for a friendship there. Just everyone's extremely high chance of failing. Just no one wants to be friends with R-Truth. Like, nobody. Here, we'll try Tim Storm Jr. No effect. I don't know why everything is so hard when it comes to meddling for that. We do have absent worker. It's just Eli Drake who had time off the vent. We are going to go to our arena. Expecting 777 fans. A pretty solid outing for us. And on the previous show, we had a lot of stuff happen, but it was a pretty weak performing show in terms of our rating. So that's kind of the goal in the short term, is just try to maximize our rating here and play around with the new product and see if we can achieve that. But we had Ricky Starks dividing up the kingdom a bit. We had the number one contender eliminator with was that coming up? I'm trying to remember now. It's been so long. I think that's happening this tonight. So the Eliminator Challenge, and then the winners will face Devon Eriks. We had Alistair, formerly known as Alistair Black, currently not really named. So if you guys got a really good name for him, let me know. Someone had suggested something involving Crowley, to kind of invert the Alistair Crowley name, which is what he kind of used. But yeah, let me know. I'm not settled on Alistair yet, and I don't like Tommy End, to be honest, as the name. So I would like to see something more occultish, and I will use the best that I see in the comments for him. And we had Jeff Jarrett being very upset, very worried about Pillman. Pillman getting attacked by Joe. We got Enzo and Cass calling out Grancosa de Lucha at the for the pay-per-view for the Alliance titles. So we got a lot of stuff kind of built up already. Kinda. We still have to kind of build up a go-home segment, probably for our women's division championship, which looks like it's going to be probably Heidi Lovelace versus Kimberly, and one or two other things that we have to kind of tie into. So we have some work to do this episode for sure. So let's go ahead, let's get into it, and let's see what we can come up with. Alright guys, we are ready. Like I said, not that many matches actually happening. We definitely filled that 2-hour block very easily. We have 13 segments, a lot of story beats, a lot of longer matches, a lot of longer segments. I'm trying to see what maximizes what we need. We pretty much solve, or at least build properly what we need to that we haven't already. Kind of going into Spring Stampede. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at what the show is and see what our go home looks like. So we start off with Ricky Starks in a promo. He's in the parking garage, now empty, the kingdom seemingly gone. He stands alone, talking to the camera, and he takes off his shades as he looks deeper into the lenses of the camera. He says, "Eddie, your kingdom's gone. Your pursuit of gold blinded you. And look where you've fallen now. Even as your brotherhood tore itself apart, all you cared about is this damn feud with Pillman. No more of this nonsense. Because I think I've shown everyone now that you're not this old, grizzled vet, someone to look up to. Instead, you're just an old, haggard dog that continues to chase a squirrel despite its getting slower and slower. And honestly, you don't even know what to do if you caught it anymore. And you know what we do to old dogs, right? We send them to the farm upstate. I want you this Saturday. Enough games, enough playing around. It's time to show the world who the future really is, and why it's certainly not you. Got the crowd hotter, got to a strong start. Ricky Starks' microphone work doing well to give him a 52, and continuing the All Kingdoms Fall storyline as he calls out a challenge to Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston wants to be in the main event. He wants that damn title, and he's tried and tried and tried and failed each time. And clearly, Starks is fed up with it. The Brotherhood, or the Kingdom, has fallen apart into disarray, maybe even into civil war. We don't even know if Ricky Starks wants to control part of it. What he really wants is to prove that he is Eddie Kingston's better, that he is more than a lackey, and he wants to end Kingston to prove it. And we move on to our first match of the night. We went for a longer match. A lot of the matches tonight are longer, trying to see where we can fit in things and where we can get the best results. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. If you remember, the Von Erichs issued a Eliminator challenge tonight, saying that the four of the tag teams that were, I guess, like tied or whatever, could have a shot at him. So we got at them, I should say. We got FTR, The Revenant, Sleaze and Breeze, and Warhausen. And in this match, The Revenant win, beating FTR, Sleaze and Breeze, and Warhausen in 10 or 18 minutes. It was first Warhausen, then Sleaze and Breeze, and finally FTR. FTR was looking to be favorites going in, but The Revenant overpowered them. And the Von Erichs have a hell of a challenge ahead of them to fight Akam and Razor. Everybody did pretty great in here. The weakest links were obviously Sleaze and Breeze and Warhausen. Even with that, we got a 54. The face turn for Warhorse got a poor reaction, and Razor seemed a little bit off his game. This match was too short for an important match in the eyes of our audience. So this is where I kind of wanted to see, like, how long do these matches need to be? According to them, this was an important match, and it needed to be long. So I think we're looking at most of our matches that aren't throwaways need to be like 20 plus minutes long. That's definitely going to tax some of our workers, and that's going to be tough. I don't know how bad of a penalty this gets us, because overall it gave us a 54, which I'll certainly take. After that, we just have a brief segment of the commentators announcing that the Revenant won, and we'll face the Von Erichs, and we get a little bit of a sort of segment back and forth of just showing the two teams and kind of hyping up the pay-per-view. Nothing really substantial there, but just to highlight it. Meanwhile, we have a segment backstage in Jeff Jarrett's office. Ace Austin walks in, trying to look real slick. He's got sunglasses on. He kind of struts in. He's clearly there to manipulate him. He tries to act cool about it, and he's failing miserably. He looks like the "Hello, fellow kids" meme, basically. He goes, "Yo, Double J." Jarrett just sighs at him, immediately seeing through the whole charade. What do you want? I'm just here because I just wanted to point out I've been running hot for a while. I've been really running really hot now for a while. Yeah, by cheating, Jarrett interjects. Whatever. But this is, as the next gen champion here, right? Like, I feel like I'm due an opportunity. I'm the future, after all. You've said it yourself, and the future should have a shot at the championship, shouldn't he? Jarrett sighs, but then starts to think a little bit. And he kind of smirks. He's kind of thinking through this situation, how it could play out. And he's kind of liking something about it. He goes, okay, how about this? I can't just put you into the main event, but, you know, your belt's always on the line, and you've challenged and defended, and that's fine. And I'm going to give you a challenge tonight. Your belt will still be on the line, as usual. And let's see if you can weasel out of this one. Because I'm going to put you in a 5-way eliminator. That last one that we had earlier in the show went really well. So if you survive the gauntlet, then the main event at Spring Stampede is a 3-way with you. And if you fail, whoever pins you becomes the new next-gen champion. Ace Austin kind of looks and reluctantly agrees to it. It wasn't really the way he wanted it to go, but you know, it's not like he can really refuse at this point. He's kind of asked for it. He agrees and leaves, and Jarrett smugly smiles and starts talking to himself like a weirdo. And he goes, well, you know, this may change the dynamic for old Samoa Joe if the kid can survive. Jarrett seems to like to play these games, and he sees a potential out of a wild card in Ace Austin, potentially. You know, he wants to protect Pillman, right? Pillman's his golden goose in a lot of ways, and maybe if Ace Austin can do this, maybe he will be an X factor in the match that could potentially protect Pillman, even though it actually technically would lower his chances of survival. But maybe he has other plans. You know, Jarrett's always scheming in some capacity or another. Gives us a 54, pretty good. And we have a weigh-in, Heidi Lovelace versus Kimberly, announced for the main event. Probably it should be a triple threat, but honestly, at this point, I just kind of want to get the belt off of Kimberly. And I think Heidi Lovelace is the best person to do it for now. And then we can set Heidi Lovelace up with maybe a feud with Madison Eagles or something like that down the line. But Kimberly's leaving us in a short while. And so our goal is really just to quickly move her off the title and onto somebody else. So we have a weigh-in. We haven't done a weigh-in before. Tom Phillips is there to facilitate the weigh-in. And as all signings and weigh-ins go, words are exchanged, fists are thrown, and you know, the two start to brawl, and Kimberly gets the worst of it, with Heidi Lovelace becoming dominant in the brawl and pinning her down and actually getting her in a lock that forces Kimberly to tap to nobody, because obviously it's not an official match, before the refs come out and kind of break up the whole ordeal. This segment went on too long for this audience. I don't remember what I set this on, but that's good to know. We probably should have trimmed it a little bit. I think it was at like 10 minutes or something. I kind of wanted to play around with angle lengths and match lengths to see what the breaking point is for our new product style. So this is good to know that at this point, with this group of people, this was way too long. Gets us a 37, unfortunately, but this was not going to get a high point segment anyways. And then the not a cult are here to rectify the situation for us and redeem some of the show's lull here, as we probably hemorrhaged some viewers from this. We have Alistair sitting in the ring with a microphone and talking in the dimly lit arena towards the ramp. And he goes, "There are imposters in the walls, creeping along under false guidance. Bowden, you tell them lies, and those lies always come at a cost. And I am the debt come due. Bring out your disciple, if you dare, and I will show them what true insight looks like. Backstage, Bowden is pleading to Nick Aldis not to go out. And Nick Aldis is strapping up and getting ready. And he goes, "Trust me, my son, he is dangerous and a strayed disciple. Everything you know that has given you success, he knows as well. We seek harmony, discipline, and foresight. Going out there is giving in to chaos." Aldis does not buy it and shakes his head and says, "I am not going to let him defame you anymore." Aldis is a true believer, and Bowden's terrified of Alistair and is desperate to have him not come out and engage. We gain heat for the storyline. Alistair did not do well without following the script, which is good to know, and Bowden was struggling in the situation. But other than that, Bowden actually enjoyed the freedom going off script, and Nick Aldis in his sort of segment did very well improvising. So got us a 59, leads to a match with Alistair and Nick Aldis. The match is fine. Nick Aldis is not that great of a wrestler compared to who we're pulling in, so it's kind of what we expected. Unfortunately, I see what I really didn't want to see in here, which is the red penalty of Alistair and Nick Aldis just don't click, and it showed in their performance. We have ways around that if we want to continue with a program with them, but that was a bummer. This match was also too short for an important match, so this is going to be the problem. We really need long matches on here, so we're probably going to have less matches on shows and a lot more segments in between, which is fine. But it looks like really for most story-based matches, we're going to need to do like 20 plus for these, which I don't think a lot of our wrestlers can do. That's another issue. Though it had a fantastic heat and decent wrestling, the two of them drew after a double pinfall after performing the same moves the same way. They both knocked each other out and draped arms across each other, and actually got a even double pinfall that was an inconclusive finish. Kind of showing that Alistair does know every trick that Nick Aldis has. And Nick Aldis is also not somebody to be pushed around in the situation either. Gets us a 48. Afterwards, we just kind of call out that Aldis is surprised to see that Alistair knows all his moves. Alistair obviously is a little frustrated that he didn't get the win, but seems more amused than angry. And the match obviously is inconclusive. Both came across well and had a 60 for that segment, and presumably we are going to see a match with them later, but that underperforming match itself, or the lack of psychology between the two, was very upsetting, because that's definitely going to put a hamper on any of our story plans with them. We got Ricky Starks versus Max Stardom. So this is a throwaway match. It's not a squash match, but it's not between anybody important. They had great chemistry, though, and it got us a 44. Ricky Starks carrying it. Ricky Starks defeating Max Stardom in 7 minutes by submission. So we can do squash matches or unimportant matches, but if it's between people that are important, our matches really need to be long and strong. That's going to be difficult. That's going to be definitely a difficulty for us. But that's what we did to ourselves, I suppose, and that's what makes it interesting. So Ricky Starks defeated Max Stardom in 7 minutes by submission, gave us a 44. They had great chemistry. After that, Eddie Kingston comes out and attacks Ricky Starks, and kind of grabs a microphone and says, "Yeah, accept," before throwing it at him. We're trying to hint at that face turn, but it's just not getting any reaction for Eddie Kingston. We're going to keep him as a tweener. Ricky Starks is solid as a heel, and obviously we're setting up Kingston versus Starks at Spring Stampede. Gets us a 57. We have the Eliminator for Ace Austin. His title on the line if he can survive. He goes to the main event on Spring Stampede. And Jeff Jarrett brought some surprises with a debuting Brian Cage, Miro, and Connor and Victor. It's clear that he set this up for him to fail because he's got a tag team, a new mega debut, and a monster. And somehow Ace Austin defeats them all in a slimy way, of course. Victor first eliminated, then Connor, then Miro, and finally Brian Cage. We had Jarrett 120 coming out and attacking Miro and distracting him. Ace Austin makes defense number 4 of the title. I think there was another interference, or there was another distraction that did not go through on this. This must be a distraction ending, but basically he was able to get another, I think it was Matthias Breeze, to come out and distract Brian Cage to get a quick roll-up. You know, he's cheating his way to success, but that does mean Ace Austin wins, still maintains next-gen title holder status. All of them did fantastic. Actually, interestingly, like Cage was a 44, Miro was a 58. Ace Austin, the highest performer of the bunch. Very good debut for Cage, though. Got a very good for his cocky. We have Lana on the side with Miro, and got a very good for her segment. I forgot that I set her up as manager for now. I kind of wanted to debut her a little bit later, but oh well. We're going to deal with that after Spring Stampede. Match is way too short, again, and that's 15 minutes. Jeez. And then we have to make sure Lana and Miro are the right disposition. So that's going to be a problem. Gives us a 49. It's a little bit weaker of a match than we wanted, but we did have some penalties there. After the fact, we have Ace Austin, just the sort of aftermath, surviving the gauntlet, announced to be added to the main event of Spring Stampede, and he grabs his belt and basically flees from the ring before anybody is the wiser, and especially before Brian Cage gets up to hunt him down. So Ace Austin has weaseled his way to the top, still next-gen holder, now getting a shot in a triple threat. I believe if Scott Steiner was here, he would say he has a 33 to 3rd chance of winning. So not great odds for him, but much better than the 0 he had going into it. But before Ace Austin can really get out of there, as he celebrates, grabs that belt, and hearing the stipulation being announced, before he can leave, Samoa Joe kind of pushes him back to the ring. And following not far behind him is a very smug, equally angry Pillman Jr. The three of them have some brief words before chaos quickly erupts and all three start swinging. Joe clearly giving the hardest of the blows, Pillman holding his own, and Austin quickly overwhelmed and on the ground. He scurries away, scooting on his butt away from the two as they brawl, and then backing up into a corner ring post. His eyes are wide. That smug arrogance is gone, and that it's now replaced with a "oh man, what did I get into" kind of look in its stead. Members of Smoking Aces, who are already kind of ringside, come out to help, but were quickly overwhelmed by an attacking Joe, but led to a distraction that allowed a good sucker punch from Pillman, and Joe takes a knee. He looks at both of them, rapidly moving a finger between the two. This is Pillman kind of giving a keep away, because he's now like totally unhinged, before taking his belt and fleeing. Austin is there with them, but man, is he outclassed. And that's sort of the story that we're going into our Spring Stampede show. Ends with a banger of a segment. Show's not bad, 55. Only weak point was the weigh-in. The rest were fine. I think this was actually a weaker show than our last one. It's definitely going to be a struggle to play around and get the format of the matches optimized. So we kind of have to figure out that flow and what works for us. But overall, we filled the time fine. was not an issue. I don't think roster is going to be an issue. So that all worked out very well for us. Have some mail, some news. Alistair out on loan. That's fine. Retirement for DDP. Retirement for PCO. So some of that is happening. Shanna to retire. There's a lot of retirements. Tamina retiring. Ethan Page walked out of Impact. Reason being missing payments to a locker room brawl. Ethan Page might not be a bad hand. What are you doing? 240. I'm going to shortlist you. I could see him being useful for us in the future. Wow. So that's interesting. What do we got here? There's just a loan. Jeff Jarrett relocates to our area. Ace Austin has now gone from tone to muscular, building up for his main event. And Jeff Jarrett's got poor words for Connor. We had a 0.05, not too bad. So, overall, not a bad show, not a great one either. We're still trying to figure out that balance. I'm a little concerned about the match lengths. Yeah, we had a slightly better show the last time. Honestly, it's not too different than our previous ones, but we've definitely, after changing, our show rating has taken a dive a little bit. We got to rebuild that. We got to figure out what to do there. We also didn't have some major players in matches that I think probably would have given us a better result. So I'm not super worried about that, though. We can deal with that going into, after Spring Stampede. We'll figure it out. I think overall momentum's on our side, and we got a big show right after this one here. So really excited to put on Spring Stampede, and I will catch you guys for that. Thanks for enduring this very long episode, and I'll see you next time.